Hey everyone. So, as per the title of the video, you might guess, yes, I'm here to complain about Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard. Actually, technically it's Gabbard, but most people say Gabbard and she's okay with that. Now, you might, you would be justified in thinking that I'm here to complain about her endorsement of Donald Trump or what she said about trans issues. But no, because I have my own hangups. Which are, other people have talked about those things anyway. But my particular objection to something that Tulsi said lately, I believe it was on Fox, was about Hinduism. Um, they asked her about her religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs, and she stated that a lot of people misunderstand and don't realize that Hinduism is a monotheism. Um, Now, I'm not here to say that it's a polytheism, a polytheistic tradition per se, but I object to her saying that so unequivocally. And it's not even that. It's, I get this like impression from people when they talk about monotheism that it's a compliment, that they want to say, oh, no, 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 we're not polytheistic. As if polytheism is something that you should avoid being. Why? I'm sorry to say this, but most of the bigotry that comes out of religion has been monotheistic traditions. I mean, at least in recent history, like if we look at Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, a lot of wars have been fought in their names, and they are usually the first ones to um, fight amongst themselves as well. Like if you compare with the Roman Empire, which could be seen as a kind of a polytheistic tradition, then you had a system where a lot of other deities from outside of the Roman Empire, such as Magna Mater or Cybele, which was like a Middle Eastern goddess, was absorbed into kind of mainstream state religion of Rome, and in this very kind of free-flowing way. Now, that tends to be more the trend with polytheistic religions and monotheistic religions. There are exceptions, but monotheistic religions tend usually to assert on others, on other people who maybe are not from that tradition, that their God is the correct God. And now, one of the things that I want to encourage people to think about, like this is sort of hot button topic in terms of like a lot of people feel very strongly one way or another. And on the one hand, I kind of object to Tulsi kind of setting herself up as an expert, um, you know, and on the other hand, I shouldn't either. But but it's interesting. Like I felt obliged to comment on this because I was raised in a way that was quite similar to the way that Tulsi was raised, which was that I was raised in a community of like Western people, Europeans and Canadians and English people and New Zealanders in India in a community of people that were, the philosophy of which was inspired by one branch of Hinduism. And I think that Tulsi was raised in a similar situation in Hawaii. But neither of us are Indian, for one thing. And for another thing, both of our traditions were kind of a Vaishnav, like definitely more the Krishna tradition, and not so much Shaiva or Shakta. So not the goddess tradition, and not the Shaiva tradition, which is Shiv, the destroyer, which is kind of different. Anyway, what I object to mainly is Tulsi sitting there and saying that Hinduism is such and such a thing. Like, if you were to say that Hinduism is polytheistic, you would also be wrong. And if you were to say that it's monotheistic, you're wrong. If you say that it is, like, anytime anyone says that, somebody else was saying, like, people often think that in Hinduism, you say that you are God, and that's wrong. Well, no, it's not, actually. It's not wrong, because the thing about Hinduism is just a very fluid thing, and it's a very difficult thing to pin down to a cardboard cutout of what it stands for. And that's actually one of the things that I like and respect about Hinduism, as opposed to religions which are very easy to boil down to a simple concept, which I think actually encourages lazy thinking and bigotry. Exhibit the world. So, yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was how there's always this push for homogeny, as if out of homogeny and out of commonality will come harmony and people getting along. Even with science, they're trying to do it. Like with science, there's this sort of fanatical strain in the scientific community where they're trying to get people to trust the science, for instance, which is fine. You can try to get people to trust the science, but one of the hallmarks of a civilized society is dissent, and it is people being able to question things, whether it is science or religion. Whatever the authority thought system is at any given time, it has to be able to be questioned. And that also is part of the scientific method, which is that you're always questioning. Anyway, so in the science community, there is a push as if everyone can see, because if you can get everyone to agree on an objective reality, on an objective truth, so they think that there's an objective truth that is so compelling that everyone will agree on it. And then if everyone agrees, then you can have like world peace or something like that. And I think the problem is not that people don't agree. I think it's wonderful that they don't agree. I think it's absolutely fantastic that people do not agree. I wouldn't want them to agree. But I think the problem is that people have no manners. like the ability to agree to disagree is an art. And I think that, it's an art that needs to be practiced. Like, I was listening to Mary Williamson talk about arguments at the dinner table, which were extremely heated and political, and then they did not become personal, which is an art that we all have to learn. Like, my family was also kind of like that. But, my family had certain kind of rules in place. Like, my parents did not discuss who they were voting for with each other. They did not tell each other. My mom used to whisper to me, "Yeah, your dad, he's probably going to vote conservative," if I'm to guess. But there was like this rule that was like a taboo, that they didn't tell each other. And, that kind of stuck with me in a way. Like, I realized, oh, it's such a sacred thing, your vote, that that they don't discuss it casually. And I kind of feel like, in some ways, a little bit more reverence for people's personal beliefs have to be treated like that as well. Like, maybe we shouldn't proselytize to our friends and family, let alone strangers. Like, anyway, basically the message I want to get across is that diversity is good. I mean, I saw a video saying like diversity doesn't work, and I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to work for. Like, if productivity is the bottom line, but if life is to be worth living, then you need diversity. Like, otherwise there's no point in just having people being clones of each other. That's ridiculous. That's not life. That's just sort of motion without consciousness. Anyway, I'm getting very philosophical here. And that's all I really wanted to say about what Tulsi had to say, which is, yes, I had a similar upbringing to hers. I don't know if I know more about Hinduism than she does. Probably not necessarily, but I refute what she's saying. Yes, I refute the assertion that monotheism, first of all, is something to be aspired to, and second of all, that Hinduism is one. I think that Hinduism is not anything that you can put a label on, especially since it's a kind of umbrella term for something that evolved organically. It was not really ever institutionalized as such. It was more just a convenient word to apply to people who had Indic quasi polytheistic beliefs, and then that was lumped in with the philosophy of Advait. It's a bit like what happened with the Tao tradition and the Wu tradition in China. Tao is not necessarily Wu, Wu is not necessarily Tao, but there's a lot of overlap, and they often get conflated, especially by Confucianists. Anyway, huge tangent. Anyway, yes, Hinduism is not a thing that you can say it is this or it is that. It is just a convenient term to describe the beliefs of some people in Asia, I guess. Anyway, I'm leaving it there. I was quite worked up, but mostly I'm here because it was a good hair day, which is not so evident on the video, but anyway, it looks good in my mirror. You'll just have to imagine. All right, bye for now.